I know it sounds strange, but sometimes we'll have the same people in line, not the same, but in line for 3 or 4 days to come and see us. It's free, everything is free. We usually have medicine for free if we can give them what they need. It's not like a month or 2 months or a year, nothing like that, but generally to get them through, maybe until they can afford to go to the pharmacy. Not that expensive there, but if you live up in the mountains and you're Indian or something like that, they don't make a lot of money. A lot of times, we do women, infants, and children. We do not do men, although I've snuck a couple in. I know. But we sometimes, they don't, a lot of places, if they live up in the hills, they don't have refrigerators or anything like that, but we can give them antibiotics for their kids. There is a way to keep them cool. You dig a hole in the ground, put your medicine in a baggie, stick it down in there, and it'll keep it cool enough that it'll work. So, anyway. All right, so this is our team from last year, and I'm going to show you where we started. This is the hotel we stay at. It is a 5-star, amazing hotel. It is not where we generally stay, so we get one good night here, and then we head out. So, and this is still part of the hotel, just different things in the lobby. They have like the best breakfast ever, so you just eat until you fall over. And then we're at where our team is, and this is our breakfast. Some cantaloupe, oatmeal, Gatorade, water. We have a good time. This is our group on the right. And we're in the bus heading to where we're going. So we went to Redahula last year, and I've been all over the country, all over that country. And we don't go to the same cities every year, but I believe we're going again this year to the same place. So it's like about a 3.5, 4-hour bus ride to where we're going. These are just some of the sights on the way. Can't tell too much there. So, and I know it looks kind of dumpy and trashy, but I would like to go and scoop all that stuff up and burn it. That's my job. I like to burn stuff. But, I don't know why they don't. They just don't. But these are some of the sites on the way to Redahula. This is a sugarcane field, actually. I don't know if you can, is it? I'm lying. Next.
Are you on back?
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Yeah.
So this was just some excavating that was going on our way there. And go ahead, Todd. And then all along the highway, everywhere you go, the shops and stuff are all along the road. So this was, you'll see a couple other things. I know you can't see on the left there, but they're called tuk-tuks. They're little 3-wheeled golf carts. So that's how we get around. You get in, you flag one down, it costs 5 quetzales, which is like $1.25. And you get in there. There's a driver, and then you squash yourself in behind the seat. It's very small. 2 people can get in there, but we've had 3. And then some more sights along the way. The bus on the bottom right there, they're privately owned buses by the bus drivers. We always call them chicken buses, and it's just that people will get on there with their animals, their kids, whatever. They pay, and there's a guy that will stand outside his bus to tell you where he's going. Like, he'll hold on to the bus and he'll say, like, Guatemala, 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 Guatemala. And then if you're going to Guatemala, you just hop on the bus and off you go. But they do that for all the different cities. It's,
That's the only school bus I've ever seen with dual chrome wheels.
oh, they're fancy. They always have, most of the community down there, there was a large Catholic community, but all of the buses, and I wish I had a picture of the front, but they all have like Jesus in the front. They need a lot of Jesus because some of these roads are skinny, skinny roads. And you think you're gonna wreck like you are, you think you are. My very first trip, I saw a truck drive off the road. Went down about 400 foot and I was like, oh, what are we gonna do? And we're like, nothing, you know. But anyway, okay, go. So this hotel on the bottom left is where we split into 2 hotels last year. So this is the hotel that I stayed in. And then across the street is the old bus station. It's a beautiful building. The buses don't run no more. It's fallen in. There's a tree that's growing up through the middle of it, but it's a beautiful place. And across the street, directly across the street in the green building, is now like a Goodwill. So you can go in there and find you something if you need it. Go ahead. So this is looking out my balcony window because there were 3 of us that stayed in the end room where we were. And there's a little tuk-tuk down there. And so you can see that. But going down the street straight ahead, go ahead, going down the street straight ahead, you'll head off toward the hospital. I don't know if did we put the video in there about driving to the hospital? Okay, all right. And that's the same building across the street. So when we got to Retahula, the hotel I stayed at, they have a reception for us. And it's across the street from not at the Goodwill, at the other side of the street. They have a reception. They have like sandwiches and drinks for us. And they welcome us into their city to take care of their people. So this is me and my friend Gigi. She's from Florida. And then my girlfriend donated a whole bunch of little toys last year, so I took all those little, what are those called? Yeah, took a whole bag of them things down there and gave them away. So 3 of us shared that room, and it's a joy to stay with the same people every year, or different, you never know. Okay. So this is the entrance to the hospital. It's, you go in underneath the white building there. It's gated. They do not let people just go in. So you'll go in underneath that building where the guard is. And the people that are waiting to see us are lined up all along the street out there. And there's probably a couple thousand. I know it's hard to believe, but there is. And then that's just a picture. I just took a picture. We're kind of set up to the right of that sign out in the parking lot. We have like a triage area, and that's where the people will come in. Go ahead, Todd. I think there's chairs. Yeah. So they'll come in, and then we set up a little station outside just to triage. But then there's chairs. There's probably, I don't know, maybe 80 chairs there, so we can triage about 80 people. In that long table, there'll be 4 or 5 of us sit there to triage and find out why people are there and see if they just need to go to clinic, if they're ready to go to surgery. But surgery is set up from last year to this year, is already set up. Can't just take them in. Well, sometimes we do something quick, but usually surgery is already set up. So they will come in, and then there's a registration table, and usually there's a couple of volunteers that know Spanish that'll fill out their information, their age, their address, their phone number, and then we'll bring them up to the chairs. And then we sit at the long table on one side, they sit on the other side, and we start triaging to find out what's wrong with them, why they're there. Are they there for a checkup for the kids, or is it the mother? Is it, that's where we find out what's going on.
How do they know you're coming?
So before we ever get there, we contact, I don't know who we are, but we contact someone in Guatemala in not just Guatemala City, but in some of the other cities, and they'll have advertisement on the loudspeaker, like a truck will drive around. I know, the truck will drive around with this big long speaker, and he'll talk about where we're going and what the group is. And a lot of people come from, like, let's just say we were at Salama the year before. Sometimes the people from Salama will still go to Redahula to see for a follow-up or something like that. We never know who's going to show up. This little guy here, he was darling. He's about 15, so his mother brought him in to see if we could do something about his ears. That is a birth defect, and no, we can't do anything about that. So this little guy on the left, he was like my buddy. He's a good guy. I don't know why he liked me, but he did. And then these are a couple moms and kids that were in line that I got to see. I don't get to see all of them because there's 6 of us at the table, and we try to play with as many as we can because they're scared of me, us. They're scared of us because we're not Hispanic and we don't speak their language, and we try to not tease them, but coax, trade them out to be happy with candy or toys or something like that. Usually works. Okay. Oh, that's me and Gigi. Like, I have to have 2 pair of glasses on for some reason. Okay. So this is the mom carrying this kid. He probably, I don't know if he had, I'm not sure what his diagnosis is, but could have had some spina bifida or something like that. But he is actually going to the prosthetic clinic, and Julio will make him some splints so that possibly he can walk a little with crutches instead of his mom having to carry him. Some of these kids your age will carry their brothers and sisters, like, for hours to help their mom and stuff. Okay. So this guy here is our bus driver. He's from Indiana. Him and his wife both come. His wife's a nurse practitioner. So this little guy in the wheelchair cried a lot. So he was tempting him with his sunglasses. He finally got him on, and then he finally let him pick him up and hold him. So that whole thing took about 35 minutes, but it worked. So this little guy here, we have been following him since he was like 18 months old. And he was pretty sure he was born with no legs or some sort of congenital problem where he could not walk. So they did an amputation of his legs several years ago, but in that picture on the left, you can see where he's a little crooked. So one leg is growing faster than the other leg. So we did a revision, and so they amputated both legs again so that they were the same size. And then probably, this kid was running around for an hour, running all over the place. And then he had surgery the next day. But that's him sitting in the middle of the bench with us. And he never cried, he never complained of pain. But he probably already has his new legs for this trip. So I'm sure we'll see him again. Okay. So this little guy on the left, that was probably a congenital birth defect from possibly the umbilical cord wrapped around the leg, the foot, lower leg. I don't know what they ended up doing, if they put him on a surgery schedule or anything like that, because sometimes where I'm at, I don't get to follow him all the way through. But chances are he'll probably end up with an amputation and get fitted with a prosthetic, so he'll be able to walk. This other little guy, he could only wear Crocs. His foot was really, really big, but he could walk. So he's probably at some point in time, I don't know what we did for him, but probably nothing, because he's able to walk like he is. Oh, these kids were also in the prosthetic department. So I kind of ran over there to see what was going on there at the other end of the building. And so that one already got fitted for something. And then the little girl, so she was not very friendly, but she wouldn't let me hold that string she had or nothing, but she was fine. Next. So these are 3 of the kids that I saw myself. And so we got Stretch Spider-Man there, and Dude, It's My Birthday, and then the little guy on the right, he loved cars. So we had a car that would, you could go ahead and, I know you guys know, like you can, pull it back and it'll run faster. Yeah. So he'd shoot it across the table at us, and we'd shoot it back to him. So this was one of my favorite little people, and she was not ours to see. That's her daughter, her granddaughter, and they took them in for she went to the hospital, to the clinic to be seen, but she's like this big, and she's 97. She's cute as a button. So they were watching me, because I was like, oh, look at that little lady. And so they were watching me, and then they came over to introduce themselves, and it was cute. So this little guy on the right, there was nothing we could do for him, but we did do a well child checkup on him, and the other 2 kids too. They just went to clinic. So this was one of my favorite little girls. She is so beautiful. So she came in with a deformity of her ear also, and of course we don't do ears. We do hernias, we do cleft lip and palates, we do club feet. When we have OBGYN, we do hysterectomies, bladder repairs, those kind of things. But we don't take an ear doctor. We do plastics. Okay. So this is my little guy that had club feet. He's also mongoloid. He actually went to surgery. So that's his mom holding him on the right after surgery. So he'll be in those casts for a while, and then he'll be re-seen at a clinic in his town, and then they'll take the cast off. Then he'll have to start some therapy and stuff, so he'll be able to walk eventually. So I know it looks a little disorganized, but when we send a shipping container to Guatemala, usually twice, but we should have we probably already had a packing day, but we keep a shipping container down there also. But we have a packing day up in Lexington, and we pack all of our supplies. And then when it gets there, we start emptying them and putting on those black Rubbermaid shelves, and we put whatever supplies, like there'll be an OR supply just for the operating rooms, so they can come what they know, what they need, and they'll send people to get it. For the clinics, they'll send stuff. And then this was the only room that was air conditioned last year, so we kind of snuck in there and sat down, because I sat outside in 95 all week. I don't care. So this was our makeup pharmacy last year. It's in a very small room that said psychiatry. And we only had one pharmacist last year, and usually we end up having 4, but last year we only had 1. And our company, Children of the Americas, we buy all the medicine and take it down there. The anesthesia, sometimes they'll bring some of their own stuff, but as far as blood pressure pills, Tylenol, ampicillin, antibiotics for kids, adults, GI symptoms, we bring in.
So how much money do you have to raise to buy that? I mean, what would a typical supply that you bring down for one trip?
You know, I really don't know because a lot of money is gifted through childrenoftheamericas.org, and sometimes they'll have a fundraiser and it'll get in a pot, and then that also pays for, it does not pay for our hotels or our meals. Well, it kind of pays for our breakfast and lunch, our cantaloupe and oatmeal. But it doesn't, it also pays for our transportation because we have to rent a couple of those big buses to take us, usually 2. The last year and this year, it's a small team. It's only going to be 60 again. So, and I just got message the other day, there's 23 nurses coming. So we have nurses from Pennsylvania, Louisville, Lexington, Colorado, Texas, Florida. So a lot of us have been going several years. I skipped a couple of years when my husband was sick, but we in Indiana has a couple that come from there, but it seems like it's one big happy family when we all get down there because we've all been together for so long. So this little guy here, can you see he has an extra thumb? You see that extra thumb in there? Well, he was in triage, and his mom just brought him in because he had a cold. So Gigi, the lady with the blonde hair that was next to me, so she was talking to them, and she said, oh, he has an extra thumb. So he ended up getting on our surgery schedule, and you can see up on the top left and on the right that that's gone, and he has a normal-looking hand now. And so that way, he'll be able to do all he needs to do in life. So that was a really good catch on her part. So this is another little guy that we did a cleft lip and palate on, and he will have to get another palate later. But they did the cleft lips, and so this is what he looked like when he came in, and when he went home, and his mom was just crying like she didn't think that was her baby because it didn't look like him. But that was a good thing. Okay, Todd. So this is a cathedral that they have a celebration of, while we're there in January, a celebration of the Black Jesus. And it's a very big deal. And you read about it, and I can't remember. But go ahead.
It's tied to 2 or 3 different, this is much like a lot of religions. There are a blend of maybe some religion that missionaries have spread, plus Catholicism. So they kind of combined it all together and come up with this Black Jesus celebration. But it is a big deal, and it's not just a big deal here, it's a big deal in a lot of countries in South America. I never heard of it.
Yeah, it's fascinating. There'll be a whole congregation and visitors in different towns, but they'll have it in every town. But there is, we'll see it in a minute, but it's a really big celebration, and the people will carry this, they're like big logs, big timbers that are like 25 foot long, with a platform with Black Jesus on it, and it's a celebration, and they'll walk through the church, and both sides are lifted up on people's shoulders, and they have to march like this in unison, both sides, to make it straight or turn. And then they have a big fireworks celebration as they come out of the church. Okay. So this is the Black Jesus, and those are some of the guys and girls that are gonna carry it. And then the fireworks started going down the steps, had a big roll of, looked like fire hoses, all wound up. Those were all like thousands of fireworks. And they took those and they put them back and forth across the aisleway in front of the church and into the streets, and they lit it, and they were everywhere. Okay, Todd. So this is one of the restaurants that we went and ate at. It was very colorful, a little jalapeno there. So this is us when we're getting ready to leave. That's actually me throwing that up there. But so when we leave, everything is a mess in the supply room. We have to count every piece. Like if it says a box of gloves, we don't open them up and count them. But if it's gauze or something like that, then we package them and put them in there, write it on there, and then put a label on the front so that it's ready for the next team the next year. So there's the supply room on the upper right and left, and then there's a bunch of us outside. So me, and then the girl from Colorado, the girl from Florida, and the girl from Indiana. So we've all been going a lot. So we're on our way back to Guatemala City. That's the biggest thing, a McDonald's French fries you ever seen. And then there's a volcano in the middle, so it was puffing when we were going by. And then that's one of the dumps. And I know you've seen it on TV with the big vultures and the kids down in there. I've been there. I've been in it. It is true. And it's heartbreaking. But the kids that live in the dump are usually orphaned, and they will root through the trash and try to find something that is not broken, like if it's a piece of glassware or a vase or anything, and then they can trade it for food or something like that. So we're heading back into the city again, and these are just some shops and some houses on the way back. There's a Volkswagen in the wall. See it? It's an advertisement. Okay. And that's it. So that's what we do. We do what we can. Thank you.
Is there an abnormal incidence of birth defects in Guatemala? I got a friend named Jerry Tucker who runs the Galilee Children's Home down in Liberty, in Casey County, and he's made like 100 trips to Guatemala in the last 30 years.
There's a lot of cleft lips and stuff like that. It's not necessarily has to do with, a lot of it is not enough prenatal stuff. So a lot of that, they're lacking in iron, which some of it causes the birth defects. A lot of women don't get prenatal care. It's just, it's something that's not affordable all the time. There are clinics, there are hospitals, but a lot of times, like can't afford to go there because there's not, you have to walk 4 miles to get to a bus stop or something like that, and then go. We've had a kid, it's probably been 10 or 15 years ago, that we saw, and they carried him. He was, couldn't walk, but he was like 15 or 16. And he was as long as his parents, and they carried him, and we got him a wheelchair. We're not supposed to, but he's women, infants, and children. He's still a children to me, so. Sometimes if you're buddies with the people that hand out the wheelchairs and the walkers, you just sneak it out of there. That's my job, to sneak. So sorry, Jesus, but, yep.
You
And-
heard of
Yeah,
the question about the surgeries, the scheduling, did I misunderstand, or are they a year apart?
yeah. Sometimes we can do stuff like right away. Like, let's just say, like those club feet, that's like a 3-hour surgery. So if the orthopedic doctor does that, he's gonna do a couple little things, because that's a hard surgery. So sometimes they'll sneak some other stuff in. We went to some of the little bitty towns and stuff. This town in Ratapula is pretty good. I mean, they have restaurants, and a lot of stuff has been commercialized now. So I mean, if we want to go to town, take a little tuk-tuk and go to town and go to McDonald's or Burger King or something like that, they'll have it. But they have a lot of local restaurants that are good too, so we go there. There's many more pictures, but we just had to cut it down a little bit. But surgeries, when you're asking surgery, so we triaged people last year when they left me and they got triaged. They went to go see the clinic that, whatever it was, orthopedic or plastics or whatever, and they'll say, yeah, we can do you today, or no, you'll have to wait till next year. And they'll put those people on the schedule, like, for this year. So, and there is, we didn't have Jose's picture in there, but there's a little guy, Jose, and he is a minister, and he brings a busload from his village every year. And he'll stay out there and help us out in triage in the heat and everything, and then they usually find a room. I don't know if a church does it for him, but they find a place for his group to stay, and they all stay. Like last year it was upstairs in some building, and of course there's not beds, but they all sleep on the floor and do what they can. So, and a lot of times, like if, last year there was a death in the hospital, and it was not one of our patients, but we took up, it was a little bitty baby. We took up a collection for the parents to take that baby back to their village and bury it, because it was a long way.
You run into Doctors Without Borders or any other organization like that?
Yes, and sometimes there's a group that, like maybe there was a group ahead of us, maybe like a lot of time like the iBank will go there and they'll hand out glasses and stuff like that. Or there'll be another, we don't know which group is in town. That's not announced or anything like that to us. But a lot of times at the airport or at a restaurant, they'll be like, oh, are you on a mission team? We'll be like, yeah, where are you guys from? And we met 2 teams at the hotel on our way back last year, and they were from Ohio, I think. I don't remember their name, but they did a lot of, they didn't do medical mission, but they did, well, they did, but it was clinic medical mission, not surgery. What else? Spanish.
Y'all take translators?
We do. You want to go? Yes. I would love you all to go. In the past, I have taken 2 of my nieces and my nephew, and just a second, I'll get to it. Stephen was 15 when he went, and my nieces were 17 when they went. And Stephen ended up, my mom was going to kill me, but I didn't tell her. Like, his plane ended up being late, so we had to leave him in the city. But we left him with people we knew. Yeah. So he spent 2 days in Guatemala City running around to the good places to go to and stuff like that before he met up with us. But when he got to us, we went to Puerto Barrios that year. It's a town way up on the west coast. East Coast, and a lot of the shipping ports are right around that area, and there was a orphanage, a children's hospital, and a private hospital. So Joanne worked in the private hospital at that time, but, and my nieces, we cooked outside for everybody. A couple of the girls that were with us came from Glasgow, and they brought these big pots, and we cooked ramen noodles for whoever was hungry. Yes.
How long do you stay down there?
There'll be a pre-team that'll go on Wednesday before the Saturday, and then we'll stay a week, from Saturday to Saturday. I'm going on a Friday, then I'll go home on a Saturday.
How good is your Spanish getting?
My Spanish is much better at the end of the week. I have an interpreter usually with me
I
too.
just figured you've been going that long.
I know, but I don't practice during the
Soak
year.
up some.
Well, there's some, if I have to, I can go eat, I can go to airport, I can get to the bathroom. I can,
Important stuff.
yeah, I can get a taxi. Me?
How many surgeries did you guys do down there in your stint?
So usually we do a lot. This last trip, so we work from Sunday, we'll get to our place on a Saturday evening, and then we'll start Sunday right off the bat. And we'll start with the clinics and stuff like that. But during our 5 days, this last year, I think we only did 105. But it was a smaller team, and there wasn't any OB stuff. We usually have enough nurses that we can have nurses take a day shift and a night shift, because they supply no nurses, they supply no supplies. Everything is on us. So we bring all our own equipment, all our own nurses, all our own anesthesia and stuff like that. We probably see, there's a lot of people that don't get seen. Let me just put that out there. They'll be in the line for days. So about the third day, we usually try to go down the line and see who needs us the worst. And we'll pull them out and give them a number for the next day. So there'll be like 50 for the next day to come in through triage, and we can try to get that done.
But 105 in what, 5 days?
5
That's
days.
20, 25 surgeries a day.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Still cooking.
We're tired. We're tired. I'm tired, but like, and on the flyer that we have, it's the hardest week you'll ever love. I mean, it is. It's hard work. There's not a lot of gratitude except for between ourselves. But I'm surprised every year that some families will come back and they'll bring a little something, a woven blanket or something. What, baby? When am I going back? It is January, I think it's the 17th. So it's coming up. Yep. There have been in the past. Depends on who's in charge of the government. And that's the same with a lot of those third world countries. But, yeah, there has been in the past. I'd say in the last 10 years, nothing. It's been pretty uneventful.
That's good. How did you have to pick Guatemala?
The original people that started Children of the Americas, Dr. Swank and Judy Swank are from Bowling Green, and Dr. Swank is from Guatemala. So she would go down there with Bill, and they're very good friends of mine. And so they started this little mission trip. So like I said, the first time I went, there was 8 of us. Can't do too much. But we did as much as we can. I've gone to Guatemala on a weekend before. They'll call and say, can you do a triage clinic over the weekend? And I'm like, I'm gonna go Saturday and come back Sunday, right? I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. But we've done that before, and I haven't done that for But that's how it started with Guatemala. So if you look at Guatemala on the map, it kind of goes this way for you guys. And we're bordered by Mexico. So some of the places we go are up in the mountains, and it's cold. I mean, because they don't have like glass windows and stuff like that. Sometimes they have shutters, because most of Guatemala is warm. So don't need windows. Need bug spray. Anything else? What else you want to know?
Contributes to that sense of non-gratitude.
I don't know. It's totally different than here in the U.S. I mean, I know some people kind of get a little frustrated because they waited in line for 4 days and we're sending them away. And they're like, "Oh, but I've been here 4 days." I understand that. I understand it. But there's only so many people we can see, and we probably see 1,500 or more during those 5 days that come through triage. Everybody, can't see everybody, you know, and from triage, if they just have a cold, we'll send them to a clinic for a nurse practitioner to see them. They can check their ears, check their mouth. Sometimes, and not this year, sometimes we just started having a dentist about 3 years ago. Cavities are big in Guatemala, so pulled a lot of teeth. But last year and this year, I don't think we have a dentist. But it's kind of self-gratitude. I'm a much better person when I come back. I'm like, don't throw that hamburger away, you know. Don't order so much. There's a lot of people not eating a lot.
Is your greatest need, more workers or more money?
We have a lot of workers. I think right now it just depends on where we're going, because we have people that, we have to apply to go in August. So even though I've gone all that time, I have to fill out an application. We don't just have nurses, we have a carpenter sometimes, an electrician, because sometimes the kitchen doesn't work and we have to fix the oven before we can cook or something like that. We have to have a couple people that help cook. And a couple of those are nurses, and they say, "I'll just work in the kitchen." I'm like, "Suits me fine, I'm a cook," you know. So there'll be translators, nurses, people that are, sometimes the doctors, husbands or wives will go, and they just like pick up the kids or drive a bus or move them from one clinic to the next. Because in the hospital here, it's not like our surgical waiting room is in a hallway, open air hallway. And the kids we'll call them back there and put them in a gown, they'll give us a shower we can use, and we can clean them up or wipe them down. But it's in a hallway, and there's chairs lined up on each side, and then somebody will come and start an IV. They're still sitting in that hallway, not private or nothing like that like we have. So but they're there for some care, and if we can give it, we're giving it. So, what do you want?
So the hospital, is it fully staffed with doctors, the hospital?
Their hospital?
Yes.
Yes.
Who qualifies to use the service within that hospital?
We have to apply to the person that's in charge at the hospital. Since we've been there before, they know they gave us like a big room to put our supplies in. They gave us 2 ORs last year and I guess this year. And we use their kitchen also, but we eat outside, not with their staff. And for our stuff, like on the outside of the hospital, way down at the other end of the hospital, they give us a couple rooms to put supplies and orthopedic stuff in. So they're back there, and they give us another room way at the other end of the hospital there to put in wheelchairs and walkers and canes and stuff like that. It's not like we're asking them to let us use their facility. I personally don't know if we pay them or not. I'm not sure, probably. But we do donate a lot of supplies to them if we're not gonna use them and they can.
Are the
Especially,
patients that come to you guys, would they not be able to afford to go to the hospital? Otherwise,
maybe not, maybe not. I mean, we don't ask how much money they have or anything. They come in buses, in those chicken buses and tuk-tuks to where we're at, and we ask them where they live, what their telephone number is, how old they are, and why they're there. And then we start from there. It's just a simple triage thing. Sometimes it's sad, but not really. It's all good.
The trash that it has that working, no one tries to help them.
You know, I kept a kid for 5 years when I was divorced, and I was on the board down in Bowling Green, and so we were up in Judy's office. She's actually a lawyer too. These kids were running back and forth down the thing, and they're like, well, we're gonna have to send Carlos back because his sponsor mother and father have decided they don't want to keep him. They can't keep him. And I was like, oh, we can't do that. We've already paid for him to come. We got his passport, got permission from his mom and stuff like that. So Carlos had a big burn web under his arm. It kind of looked like a flying squirrel. And so I said, well, look for somebody, and if nobody offers to do it, maybe I can do it. Well, that was over with, because they didn't look for anybody. They just called me. So Carlos was staying in Louisville. Well, I guess it's Middletown, ain't it? Anyway, he was staying in this big fancy house, and they just weren't going to keep him. So I kept him. So I'm thinking little Carlos can read Spanish. Nada. Can't read nothing. So I went through the house. I put television, telephone, telephone, blah, blah, blah. He would just like look at me. Of course, he didn't speak English and I didn't speak Spanish. So we got over that really quick. That kid was, and I had to send him to school. Like, this was like a Saturday. I had to register him for school on a Monday, because they cannot not go to school while they're here in the States. So he went to Oldham Elementary. So, and I didn't have any clothes for a kid. So I went to the Red Cross, and they gave me underwear, t-shirts, and some blue jeans, and a pair of shoes, and he went to school that Monday when I took him. So, and he doesn't get free medical care when he's here either. Like, that's on me. But some of the doctors that go with us are from Kentucky, so I just like get on the phone and call, because most of them have worms, a lot of worms. And so I just got some more medicine, and then I had to get him a couple shots and stuff like that for him to stay in the States. And that kid went to school. So he was here for this burn web. So where was he accepted? He got accepted at Cincinnati at Shriners. Because Shriners helps us with most of our kids. When we used to bring them all to a lot to the States to get fixed, that was something that wasn't what we could supply in Guatemala. So so I had to take him to Shriners. And then when he had his surgery, it's a big surgery because they have to do skin grafts and stuff. So they took a big bunch of skin off of his leg, and then they had to do all the skin grafting on his arm. He was a half-piece kid when he went to Shriners because they give him a pillowcase. I know I'm talking on and on, but they give him a pillowcase, and it had games and toys and trucks and stuffed animals and candy. He's like, oh, you know, I got his picture the next day going to surgery. He's like, bye, go in. He always called me go in. Bye, go in. I'm like, bye. He comes back, he is so mad. So mad, so mad. The meanest look you ever seen. And he has a splint, so he has to wear this splint to hold his arm up, and it has to be wrapped. So he was in Cincinnati for he was the hit of the whole place. Everybody loved him, and he really loved the people that give him food. So he was an ice cream king kid. But, anyway, so you think you can just take your kid home, right? No, you cannot just take your kid home. So they're like, they had to teach me how to do these dressing changes. So there's 3 different steps for that, because you got this skin graft here, it's different kind of treatment than this. Plus, this had to get Neosporin on one side, this other stuff on another side, and you had to put this splint on there, and you had to wrap it. You could not go home till I could do it perfectly. Took me 3 days, but I could do it. So, anyway, he's a good kid. He is 34 or 5 now.
Wow.
I haven't seen him. I got him. He was the same. He was 9. He was 8, but his birthday was like the next week. But I didn't know it because I didn't have his passport or nothing. But he was little bitty, so he's the same height as my neighbor's kid that was 5. So they got to be best friends, and then their cousin Robbie. I just saw him like in the summer, and of course Robbie's 30 something now too. And he asked me about Carlos, and I told him that Carlos asked about him. The last time I saw him was about 5 years ago. Okay, you asked about the dump. Okay, so Carlos lived above the dump. There's levels of the dump. There's the upper dump, where there's houses, and I wish I would have brought my book that showed his house and stuff. But he lived up on the upper edge of the dump. So you work your way down. But, so his house was kind of on the side of a cliff. I don't have a bathroom. I had a toilet with a PVC pipe and a bucket of water, so they could sit on that out the side. Their house was made of slab. Is that what it's called, Dean? That slab at the like at the
Sawmill slab?
sawmill.
Sawmill slabs?
Yeah, like those slabs.
Yeah.
Like, so their house was made out of some old tin and some slab and a dirt floor, and 2 little beds, and she had 6 kids. So they all slept in there, and they had a light bulb and one of those itty bitty TVs and an extension cord that went through their tin out to somebody else's electric. Anyway, they invited me in and asked me to sit in. I sat right on top of their baby. Didn't know what was underneath there, but anyway, since then, his sister's had a baby and they named it Joanna. So she's probably 20 by now.
So he lived with you for 5 years?
Huh?
He stayed with you how long?
5 years,
5 years.
off and on. And I cried like a little bitty baby when I sent him back. I'd taken him to Nashville, and we laughed all the way down there and cried all the way back. But I knew he was going to be fine. And my girlfriend said, let's keep him. And I'm like, no. I said, we have promised this woman that we would take care of her baby and we would send him back when it's time. And like, when you asked about the dump, like he was at the top of the dump. When you work your way down, I've been in the dump at the bottom. There's a lot of missionaries that are down on the bottom level that have like schools and churches and that kind of thing. But these are some poor people.
So
And
did he have to go back to the dump?
he did, yes. He did. But the next time I saw him, like we took some totes that had, and when I took him back, we went shopping. We shopped for all his brothers and sisters and his mom before we went home. He made sure, he said, oh, Mama, no, look at that. I love yard sales. Don't think he didn't get a spanking because he got his butt whipped several times. But I bet he never steals another quarter or 50 cents from anybody. Even if we walked in the Walmart parking lot and there was a nickel laying there, he'd go, join it, huh? Sure, buddy. But it's not too funny because I hated waters every now and then. I always wondered how he had money for growing stuff. But, and he was in the shower, taking a shower. He'd never had a shower before because they didn't have running water. You know, a lot of times if there's a rain or something, and on the side of the cliff, there's a lot of water coming down, you'll see them up there naked, taking a shower in the water. If they're clean, it's not bad, you know. But, so I drug him out of the shower, wet. Took him in there, and I said, did you take this one? No, Joanne. I said, Carlos, you better tell me now. He goes, no, Joanne. I said, okay, if you're lying to me, you're going back to Guatemala tomorrow. Okay. I felt so bad. But that was a learning experience for him, and put him back in the shower, and he had to clean the floor when he got done because it was everywhere. But never took nothing, ever, ever. So now he's a carpenter. He's still bilingual. So he has a store. He built a house for himself and his mom and his sister. They are concrete block houses now. They're in the same area, but I've been there. It's nice. It's a big, it's a lot from where they came from. So, and he works. He has a store and carpenter and a bricklayer.
So the Lord used you to fill his life.
Huh?
The Lord used you.
I guess. I know, it's one of the, and I've been in a mudslide, like a couple years ago, we were in a mudslide. Oh, yeah, in the back of my bus, hit a tanker, like a diesel tanker. No,
Volcano
oh, we're
smoke.
gonna have this thing. But nobody fell off the side of the mountain, I don't know now, but. it was very-
Volcano smoking would worry me.
Huh?
Volcano smoking would worry me.
The volcano?
Yeah.
Oh, I've climbed 3 volcanoes in Guatemala. The first one, I was 36 when I climbed it, and I was like huffing and puffing, because it's way up there. But I was the oldest one that went up there, but I wasn't the last one up there. And it's hot. That stuff, it will burn your feet. Like, you're not even near the crater, and it's hot. Like, you can't sit down and rest because you'll burn your bottom. But it's interesting. It's been an interesting journey. I've been a lot of places in Guatemala, but it's always interesting every year. All right.
Thanks for sharing with us. Is there a way that we can partner with you on this next trip you take?
What do you want to do?
Are all the supplies already
All the supplies
purchased?
in there, yeah. I can't carry too much with me because, like, when I fly United, they only let you have like one suitcase and it's $40 a foot, so. I only take one. I try to take a backpack with some stuff in it because they've lost my luggage before. I've been without all my clothes for a week before, but it's okay. I always pack underwear, t-shirt, in my backpack. And then.
A seasoned traveler.
I've learned, let me tell you.
You guys, each individual that goes is responsible for their own cost of going over there, I mean, everything.
Yeah, they don't pay our way. We
Yeah.
pay our own way. Breakfast and lunch is supplied by Children in Americas, and it's filling. I mean, we have plenty to eat.
Rice and beans?
No, I don't eat black beans, but, no, we have fruit, we always have fruit, oatmeal, eggs.
My trips to Central America is rice and beans and fruits, and it's all good. Thank you very much. That is it's a reminder sometimes on a week of Thanksgiving how thankful we can be here for what we have. You know, my experience is that there are people who live in the dumps of every major city in almost every country in the world. I've done a couple of mission trips to the dumps in Costa Rica, that whole towns that are built up in the dumps, and it's shocking to our system because it's so foreign for us here. But I want to close this tonight in prayer, and I know that we will have opportunities. There's a red bucket in the back if you want to help partner and defray some of the costs for Joanne as she travels to Guatemala in January. I know that would be appreciated, and it's our way of, one of the ways that we participate in God's mission of helping where we can, and bringing hope and kindness and compassion where we can. In close, I want to pray for Joanne and for Children of the Americas. Also, just a couple of things that I learned this afternoon. Loretta's not with us tonight because she is sick. She said she's really feeling bad. So remember Loretta Rogers in your prayers this week. And my next door neighbor, Emily Swindler, who is Jesse Swindler's wife, passed away overnight last night. So remember Jesse. Jesse's Robin and I's age. Emily was a little younger, and they've got two boys. One's a freshman at EKU, the other's a senior at Shelby County, Tucker and Cooper. And so just remember that family as they are grieving. Yeah, I found out when we got back home today. Allie found out and told us after lunch today. Apparently she was in the hospital with some kind of an infection, but had come home, and Rob and I have been kind of waiting all afternoon to go over and see Jesse, but had so many cars over there, we're just kind of waiting the crowd thinned out a little bit. So I don't really know much more than that, but she is. She's I couldn't remember what school, but she is a principal at one of the early childhood places, and so it's North Side, I think, is right. Yeah. So remember that family, and Robin and I think her parents are still live around here. I think so. Just keep that family lifted up. I'll include in the email this week whatever details of arrangements I find out. Let me close this in prayer. Father, we're thankful that you have provided us in this country with such an abundance, such a bounty of resources, food and finances and medicine and housing that most people around the world can't even imagine. And Lord, I know that in her travels, Joanne has seen people who live on far less than probably what we throw away. And I'm grateful that there are people like her and the doctors and nurses of Children of the Americas who feel a burden to go and to try to care for and be compassionate towards those who are in need. And so, Lord, as she prepares to travel in January, I pray your blessings on her and on this entire team. I pray, Father, that the travel might be smooth and that the medical mission might be successful. Lord, that there might be many lives who are changed because of the medical intervention that takes place through Children of the Americas. I pray, Father, that you continue to provide financial resources, human resources, pharmaceutical resources, medical resources, so that they can continue to touch people and to touch their lives and to change their futures with surgeries and medical care. And Father, we're just grateful that we get a chance to, in a small way, to partner in prayer as they leave, and Lord, as we're able to partner in finances as well. As we close tonight, we just pray, God, also for your care for the. I have so many members of our church who are sick this week, and I just found out about Loretta today. So pray, Lord, that you'd be with them to bring healing to them. And Lord, I just ask that you would bring just a ministering presence to the Swindler household. Jesse and Tucker and Cooper, may they know your presence. May they feel your peace, and just be with them as they grieve Emily's passing. Lord, be with us this week and help us to walk as Jesus walked. May we reflect his goodness and glory wherever we go, and may you receive all the credit and the praise. And I ask in the name of Jesus.